What's going on? James here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are shopping defensive tackle Gerald McCoy. One thing I want to address right away. It's not because Gerald McCoy is a bad player. Bruce Arians has come out and said he's a good player. I still believe Gerald McCoy is a good player, and I'm sure there's a lot of Bucs fans as well who feel that Gerald McCoy is a good player. The Buccaneers are shopping Gerald McCoy because of his big $13 million salary. You know, a lot of Bucs fans have said that's too much money. Even I will admit that, yes, that's a lot of money. You know, it is a lot, and I'm sure that, you know, a lot of people in the NFL feel that that is a lot of money as well, because right now the Buccaneers are supposedly shopping him very hard to try and trade him before the NFL draft, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of interest. And again, you know, makes sense, $13 million, defensive tackle, a lot of money. Gerald McCoy, he's getting up there in age, still think he's a great player, but, you know, the $13 million, I will not deny, that is a lot of money. So what could the Buccaneers expect to get in a trade for defensive tackle Gerald McCoy? Well, I went back and I looked, in the most recent kind of situational thing that I saw in a trade that had happened was Damon Harrison getting traded from the New York Giants to the Detroit Lions. Both Harrison and McCoy both have very similar levels of play. I do believe Harrison is a couple years younger, but they're also making similar levels of money. I think Harrison's making around $9–10 million a year. Gerald McCoy obviously making 13. In that trade, the New York Giants only got a 2019 fifth-round draft pick from the Detroit Lions for Harrison. And a lot of people thought, like, what are you doing? So, you know, it should be very interesting. It seems like, you know, just going based off of that example alone, the Buccaneers might only be able to get a 2019 fifth-round draft pick, or maybe even possibly less for a guy like Gerald McCoy. Maybe you could squeeze out a fourth next year in 2020, you know, instead of taking a pick this year, but that seems a little bit unlikely. So it seems like the best the Buccaneers can possibly do is, you know, a fifth-round pick or lower, like maybe a fourth if you really can convince a team to take on that $13 million salary, you know, and maybe say, well, hey, you know, I think you could get a little bit more if Gerald McCoy would agree to, you know, hey, if I get traded to another team, I'll restructure my deal. That would be the only thing I could see that would be, you know, a situation that could get the Buccaneers a fourth-round draft pick. Obviously, if Gerald McCoy is traded, you really got to assume that a guy like Quinnen Williams or Ed Oliver is going to be picked at number 5 overall. I know still a lot of the national media has said Devin White to the Buccaneers is the worst kept secret. If they trade Gerald McCoy, I've said this multiple times, that's going to create a hole at the defensive tackle position. You're going to need to fill that hole. And again, I said no better replacements than either A, Quinnen Williams, or B, Ed Oliver. Those guys are both beasts. And don't worry, we'll probably get to Ed Oliver tonight and talking about the pros and the cons to him. I think he's a phenomenal defensive tackle, almost as good as Quinnen Williams. You'd have to assume one of those two guys would be drafted at number 5 overall to replace McCoy. Or if you don't get enough value and the rumors are true that the Buccaneers are going to go with Devin White at number 5 overall, maybe they keep Gerald McCoy. It should be an interesting situation. He didn't show up to voluntary mini camp and whatnot, and I know a lot of people have been freaking out about that. Jason Pierre-Paul didn't show up either, and, you know, nothing's really changed there. So yeah, guys, all in all, you know, I think it's still up in the air, all things considered. I think anything is on the table, be it getting rid of Gerald McCoy, be it keeping Gerald McCoy, but I also think it is, you know, very possible that we could see a trade being made here possibly in the next couple of days, you know, as early as, maybe as early even as today, you know, who knows? You know, it seems like the Buccaneers are really trying to get something done before the draft, and it seems like, you know, hey, guy like Quinnen Williams, guy like Ed Oliver, those guys are for sure on the table. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens, but let me know what you guys think about all of this down in the comment section below. What do you think about the Buccaneers aggressively shopping Gerald McCoy? What do you think the Buccaneers could get for a guy like Gerald McCoy, especially since I just talked about the most recent example, Damon Harrison, only being had for a 2019 fifth-round draft pick? Do you think the Buccaneers could get more? Do you think they're gonna get less? Let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. I gotta go to work, and I'll see you in the next video or the next live stream, but until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.